So there are some strange things about that. Anyway, it'll turn up here.
Yep.
Hopefully not like the last time at 5 o'clock. And we tug it all off and we check it all off. We have some oddities. So for example, we will have full pallets of particular items, lovely and easy to check off, but we also get mixed pallets, the smaller items. We might have 5 or 6 items on a 1-ton pallet, so we might have to unload the whole lot, check it off, and then it starts going around. We divide our stocks up into buffer stocks and picking stocks for the major items, so that we've got our stock control system actually holds both of them separately and adds them together. So our buffer stocks will stay as full tons until we need to break one of those down and put it over to picking. As and when the warehouse man sees an item is going low on picking, then he'll actually pull another ton out and we do the stock adjustment internally. When we get the stuff in, we have to actually do a restocking on our stock control system, but that is generally relatively easy, just as long as the actual delivery note lines up with what they sent. And in fact, we did it only yesterday. It only takes about half an hour to actually restock.
Right. So, you got your stock on your stock system. That is obviously where effectively that allows you to look at when your orders come in to look what you can fill with your own stock.
Yep.
Versus what you may have to then do sort of back-to-back order to your supplier for. What are the kind of processes by which you then pack orders? So, you know, you've got an order, a delivery note from perhaps a tile shop.
Yep.
How do you go about sort of preparing that for dispatch?
Okay, there are two, sort of getting to the nitty-gritty, I suppose, which is money at the end of the day. There are two sides to it. We have about half our customers are credit account holders, so that's no problem. They place an order, we dispatch the stuff straight away. The other side of the coin is that quite a few of them are on prepay, and that can be a very time-consuming business, actually getting the money out of them because it can't go until they've paid. Yep. Quite often we will actually process the order down to picking level but not packing, awaiting a payment. But it can be doomed. Sometimes they don't never pay up and we never actually hear from them again. So the order comes down to the warehouse. Our warehouse man looks at it, and I mean it can be a time-consuming business. It's great if they order full boxes, but for example our smallest product has got 816 triangles in a box, and the chances are they only want 130. So it can be very labour intensive actually picking out some of those small bits. It all comes, he brings it all back, it all goes on the bench, someone else comes and checks it to make sure it's actually right, and then we'll pack it in two ways. It'll either go into cartons, for orders under around 80 kilos, it'll go in 3 or 4 cartons, or it'll go on a pallet. And this is where the delivery side of it is decided. Our normal cut-off point is 80 kilos before we go to a pallet, but actually a 90 kilo pallet isn't terribly economic, so it's a bit of a juggling act as to which way we do it. But we'll end up with quite a lot, maybe 18, 20 cartons actually going out a day. Yesterday we had 7 pallets totalling about, 10 pallets yesterday totaling about 7 tons. We use one carton delivery company at the moment, but we're always looking around for more. And we use 2 different pallet delivery companies depending on the destination because their prices tend to vary on size and postcode, really.
Right. And the packing, delivery side of it, you are actually able to pass that cost totally onto your end client?
No, what we do is we actually give free delivery over a certain level of order, value of order. So if they place an order where the retail value is over £600, they get free delivery. Right. Below that, we actually played with this for many years doing different things. We eventually decided that for orders below £600, whatever it was, we do it at £19. Now that doesn't actually pay for the full delivery cost necessarily. A pallet might be 30 or 40 pounds to send out. But of course for some of the orders our cost for say a small carton will only be maybe £7 or £8. So in fact in general we make a little bit on those where we charge delivery. It pays for itself. Right. The only ones that we're actually subsidising are the bigger orders over £600.
Okay. And in terms of, do you keep track of once it's dispatched that it's reached its end destination?
In general, no. We actually took a conscious decision a couple of years ago to send everything on overnight delivery.
Right.
So everybody expects it to be delivered the next day. It's quite rare for it not to be delivered next day, but generally we don't bother to do we do all our booking online, and we can track online, but we generally only track when somebody says, excuse me, my stuff isn't here yet.
Okay. You mentioned you took an exception, you suggested that e-commerce was slightly different. How do you handle the e-commerce side differently to how you would handle a faxed order?
Yeah, there are actually some things that are simpler and some things that are a bit more complicated. The payment side is actually simpler because the e-commerce system actually has a pre-authorised payment route. And so the payment side is actually easy to sort out. There are no accounts, people have to pay by credit card, so that's it.
Yep.
So we can be reasonably sure there's not going to be a problem on payment. Picking is very much the same. We know that we got the goods in stock because when we enter the order, it actually comes up with the quantity we've got in stock, so we know that we can fulfil the order. The difficulty arises because our existing delivery systems were designed almost exclusively for business transactions. So they go to a business address on a weekday delivery, and there'll always be somebody there. Our system's notes, for example, if the shop's closed on a Thursday, that we shouldn't deliver on a Thursday afternoon. The difficulty arises with home deliveries. It's a very, very different ballgame. And if you use your existing delivery systems, what you can find is some of them actually charge an additional amount for delivering to a private house because of the problems involved in it.
Yeah.
If you've got a half-ton pallet going to a street in Hampstead, it's a lot more difficult to deliver to than a tile shop that's in an industrial estate. Yeah. So in fact, we're doing more work now on home delivery experts. Very often, for example, if nobody's in, our existing carton carrier will actually charge us a redelivery charge, which is something you really don't need.
No.
But there are some of the home delivery experts approach it a different way. And it is interesting that so many of the delivery systems actually have either different basis for delivery, a different basis for charging for deliveries, which introduce an enormous number of combinations when you're trying to actually select a carrier to do this work for you. So you really do need to tailor it to the market that you're aiming at. So we're doing a lot of work at the moment on different carriers for different distribution channels.
Right. And sort of finally then, so what would you say were your big sort of challenges in terms of, for instance, on orders coming in?
Orders coming in, our biggest challenge is actually coordinating between collections at the factory, because we've got several stages involved in the communication process with the carrier. So we use a carrier who might actually pick up himself or might actually act as an agent and put the job out to another person.
Right.
So we say, we will have this stuff ready on a Monday, we want you to pick it up on a Monday and deliver it to us on a Tuesday. But then we find that actually they don't pick it up till the Tuesday, and then all of a sudden we've got to make arrangements to actually make sure that we can take it in on the Wednesday. Right. So coordinating that is very difficult. There are a lot of stages in the communication, and these are industries that the delivery industry is not famous for communication. No. And we do have a lot of trouble. You do a lot of chasing, a lot of phoning. Have we collected yet? You know, is it going to be here tomorrow? No, we're not open on Saturday. Right. So there are an awful lot of issues you need to address. And actually, it is one of the strange things that we probably pay more for our delivery than we need to. But the known problems with that carrier are actually really useful to have on board. It may be another carrier that will have less problems, but it might have more problems. So there's always a tendency to actually leave it alone because it works. It's not the best, but it works. Plus we have issues. For example, I would dearly love to actually instruct a French carrier to pick up. It must be cheaper to actually get a French carrier to pick up to France and bring to England. But we have communication problems. Can you actually get a credit account with a French carrier? They have different rules and regulations on credit accounts. So all those things are different. Yeah. The other thing that we actually looked at one point was actually trying to bring goods in by train. And from northern France, stacks of railroads, you're not far from routes that serve the Channel Tunnel. You would think it would be easy to bring heavy goods like ours in by train, but we have not been able to crack that one at all.
Okay.
Extraordinary.
Okay, well, thank you very much indeed, Peter. Thank you.